Scrum Master and Product Owner is not going to assign you. You will assign yourself. So what you are going to do is, Chetna, you will come forward. Oh, I want to do, so out of this, what do you want to do? Okay. So you may want to say, fine, I will develop a station drop down. So Chetna is going to do station drop down. So she will choose her tasks. She will put her name, her initials or whatever it is. She will say, I will need approximately 12 hours to do this. Please note here, it is hours now, not story points. Now we are going to specifics. Now it's about implementation, technical task. Chetna said she will do it in 12 hours. Similarly, all of you will come, you will basically take up the activity that you want, put your initial and put hours against it. So what you will do is, we are 9 of us, so 9 tasks will come here. Each one of you will pick up one tasks. Let's assume that I am putting a limit of 1 task per person. One person should not pick up 5 tasks and sit on it. So only 1 task you should do at a time, not more than that. Alright? So you have picked up tasks, 1 per person, and you have put what time you need and what initials, your name initials, and you will say I will need 15 hours, I will need 12 hours, and you put your initials and you start performing. So your day 1 job is done. Okay. Now you go back and from day 2 onwards you start working. Because why day 1? Day 1 was about sprint planning, 8 hours, correct? So 8 hours of sprint planning you did, and you came up with all these details. Do you think if you would not have done grooming, do you think this would have been possible within 8 hours? Actually taking a story, splitting it up into technical tasks, coming to a closure on what exactly has to be done in the next 1 month, and getting a closure on the detailing part of it. Do you think in 8 hours everything is possible? It is absolutely not possible. Discussing the functionality, product owner agreeing, stakeholders agreeing, because people just might not be available at that point in time. Maybe the stakeholders who would clarify would say, well, he's on holiday. What do you do then? So instead, if you would have groomed the backlog well in advance, you would have talked about the functionality, and in sprint planning, you just do the detailing part. It's a very high probability that the sprint will actually start on time and end on time. Are you getting me? Yes? So therefore, grooming is very important part of your life. Sprint planning, I would say, is more about detailing. Focus on the details in sprint planning. Do not get into the discussions of base level on functionality. That's something that should be absolutely crystal clear. Otherwise, there is no point in taking a story up for implementation. If you are taking a story which is half cooked into implementation, you know what will happen to the story. Okay? So therefore, the stories that are picked up for sprint are going to be the clarified stories. You know exactly what has to be done, and therefore you are in a position to do technical tasks. The day 1, at the end of the day 1, that is sprint planning, you should have at least one task assigned for each person. They should have picked the task themselves, they should have put the initials, and they should have moved forward. Okay? So this is about the sprint planning. Next day morning, okay? So Chetna will come forward on the daily scrum. So first, day 2 maybe there might be, maybe it might be a short meeting, and they, okay, I have picked up the task and I have put up the name. Or after sprint planning, you may want to just pick up your name and then say, I have picked up this task. I don't see any impediments as of now for this. Let's assume you are on day 4 or day 5, assuming that there are some tasks which are completed. So Chetna would come, suppose it is 12 hours. So she has worked for 6 hours on day 1, day 2, and another 6 hours on day 3. So at the end of day 3, you have completed your task. So before going home, what you are going to do is, you are going to show it to the product owner, and you are going to take his approval, that this is how it looks like or whatever it is, and you are going to say it is done. Or you might want to split the done into 2 portions, telling I have done but product owner has still not approved. So you put 2 done categories there, done and approved or something like that. You can put any number of categories that you want on the task board and just move forward. And actually before coming to the meeting, Chetna would have actually put her name on this task, and she would have put it into work in progress before coming up for stand-up meeting. Now you come for a stand-up meeting. What are the 3 questions you will answer here?
The task which has been completed?
Yes.
The task which is...
What did I do yesterday? So what did you do yesterday?
Completed the station drop down.
Yes. I have completed the station drop-down.
And it took so many hours.
Yes.
And if there are any thing which needs
So there is no impediment for you now. Now you have taken.
the next one, and I'll be telling how much hours I would need for that. And if I think there is something which can, be a roadblock.
Absolutely. Okay. So you have taken one more story for one more task for execution, and that is moved into work in progress. Okay. Now Raghavendra, you will come up and you will answer the same three things. You are stuck in this task. What will you say?
Yesterday I have started this task set for HTML formatting. So currently I have a blockage on that. So and then today the blockage is solved. Today I am going to complete that.
So what help do you need?
So I require some developer help on this HTML formatting.
You have a solution for it. What will you do?
This can be handled by using some APIs.
You are a Scrum Master. What will you do?
I would ask her to.
No. You will ask her to stop.
Stop.
You have a solution. She has started
Yeah,
discussing
that's
solution.
okay.
She is saying she has an API.
I would tell them to go offline. And
Yes. So as a Scrum Master, what will you do? You will stop her and say, okay, great, you have a solution. So please go offline after the meeting and you please discuss both of you together. This is Scrum meeting. Okay, so you are a Scrum Master, you will not encourage, you will in fact stop them and encourage them to speak later. Alright, fine. So like this, the tasks move. So slowly the impediments get solved. The tasks are accepted. The tasks will start moving. Okay. So at the end of the sprint, let's assume that this is a successful sprint and we have moved all the tasks here. So for now, for the exercise purposes, let's assume that all the tasks were accepted by product owner. Then comes the sprint review meeting. Now tell me, sprint review, who is going to attend?
Stakeholders.
Stakeholders mainly and product owner. Ideally the product owner should be on your side when the review meeting is going on, because these are the items which product owner has actually sat with you and has seen is his great job done. He's already done thumbs up. A product owner is typically a very bad product owner if he comes review to review. Okay, so he should be part of your team. He should work with you at least half an hour, 1 hour during the day. If not physically, at least on the phone. Okay. Either ways, the story that you have developed, the task that you have completed, you should be able to experience that functionality firsthand. And he said, yes, the functionality is done. So now comes the acceptance of this functionality into creating an increment.
So does that mean, suppose if we complete one task, so we would be discussing out with the product owner. Suppose it doesn't sign, suppose say I'm not comfortable with
See,
it.
what you will do is you will typically discuss a story, not a task with product owner. Product owner wouldn't understand the task.
Okay.
Okay, so you are done with your task. Essentially, you have completed a particular story. So you would discuss payment success and credit card functionality with the product owner. That was not part of the sprint backlog. Destination entry. So you will discuss. This is how sir destination entry works. There are some tasks completed. So he is more bothered about destination entry. Okay, so suppose you both have worked together on destination entry. 3 tasks he did, 2 tasks you did, and I am the product owner. You will actually ask me to check destination entry functionality rather than asking me to check HTML text box it is working or not. That's not the part of product owner role. Product owner wants to see whether this functionality works or no. Okay, so now that you have got into an approval from product owner, now the importance of the task is gone. Now the story moves. After the approval is done, the story starts moving and becoming an increment. Task was a technical nature. Tasks were there as temporary. So essentially your story will move into increment. For now, let's assume that your stakeholders are approved all your stories that you have developed, because stories is business functionality, tasks are technical in nature. Now what's the importance of the task now? The importance of the task really is gone. There were more about technical activities to be done. So you don't really need the task going forward. So either if you want to store them, you store them. Most of the time they will be discarded. Importance of the task is gone. Okay? What remains on the board is a product increment, and what remains on the board is a product backlog. Now comes the next. Now your review is done. You will do a retrospective, find out what well you could do, what could you do better, and then next day your sprint planning again starts, stories move, tasks get created, tasks move from work in progress to done, approval happens from product owner on the stories. During the sprint review meeting, product owner along with stakeholders put a stamp on your work, stories move to increment, tasks get discarded. Are you getting the complete flow? Okay?
Sir, but
Yes,
sometimes what happens is when you're doing that one, right, you say that it's done, but there might be defects in your code. So what do you do in that case?
Okay, good question. Now can somebody answer? There are defects in the code, but there are livable defects. Suppose the defects are major defect, the story gets rejected. That means
But then that has to be rejected before itself, right? And then
product owner itself has rejected or stakeholders are rejected that no, this doesn't work, whatever it is. Product owner check, but whatever. So what will happen to that state? Suppose destination entry is not as per what stakeholders want. What will happen to the story?
It will go back.
It will go back to the backlog.
Product backlog.
It will absolutely go back to the backlog. Okay? So if there is a major bug and the story gets rejected, it's a different situation. Suppose it's not a major bug. It's a very small defect that happens once in a while. What are you going to do? Yesterday we covered this term.
Technical
debt.
Technical debt. So what happens is you have some technical issue or let's assume that the speed is slow or whatever it is. But for now the functionality is working. So there is a conditional approval to it. So what you will do is you will write another story which is a technical debt story and it will go back into the backlog as a technical debt. You will not forget it. Are you seeing what is happening? So he asked a very valid question that what if there is a defect? If it is an impossible defect, if the defect is so big that the story is rejected, then obviously the story goes back to the backlog. If the defect is small and you can live with the defect for some time, you will add a technical debt story back into the backlog. You will address it just like any other story, prioritize it and take it up for the next sprint or the sprint after that or sprint after that, whatever it is. Or like yesterday when we finished the sprint early, we got some time. You could take up the technical debt items and you could actually implement the technical debt items in the remaining time. Okay?
So one more follow-up
Yes.
question.
Yes, please.
See, what happens is, it's a practical situation. This particular one, there is a severe defect.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you are not able to use your password, you cannot do any of this.
Yes.
Your whole story, the whole thing goes down.
Whole thing
So in
goes
that
down.
case, should I just remove this and put it there, or should I take the whole thing?
I think you should remove this whole thing. This is a major defect that basically which is preventing everybody. So maybe you can put a workaround for now that without passwords thing work. Okay, and make it work for now and put a major defect back into the backlog and fix it at the highest priority during the next sprint.
But shouldn't the major defects be identified at the stage where the product owner is?
Obviously, but he is saying that something happened because of which some major defect is there. So obviously the story is rejected. He is talking about a colossal defect. So if the colossal defect is there, you will have to do a hotfix something so that the team doesn't get stuck. Okay, obviously it can happen. There is some colossal defect because of which the team is not able to proceed. Perhaps due to integration problems or whatever it is, team didn't integrate properly. So you will talk about it in the retrospective that why it happened that we couldn't, basically it's such a colossal defect that you were not able to demonstrate anything. The sprint meeting got over, sprint review meeting got over within half an hour because you were not able to deliver something, anything to the customer because you are not able to log in. It's such a serious defect, So you will think in the retrospective, what happened? Why it didn't happen? So you came to a conclusion that you were not integrating properly. Okay, because of integration, you are not able to revert back in time to the version which was working. Okay, so therefore, I am going to improve my integration going forward. Okay, so such situation can happen, but they have to be addressed. Sometimes a hot fix, sometimes with a retrospective, you say failed sprint, nothing is getting delivered, and then you deliver major functionality next sprint. That is also
So if
possible.
this is a fixed cost, then what about the variance part?
Obviously, somebody has to take the cost, right? Any variance, team has to take the cost here. So what will happen is the stories will go back. Obviously, there will be some functionality which will get compromised, and you will deliver it. But this is something which was a team
So
problem.
the product owner has to decide.
So one question, when you said the integration was not done properly, so when it was in work in progress and then we moved one test items to that one, once it is done, So do we have the bandwidth to test whether that has been integrated? Because when it moves to increment, we
See,
make
I'm
sure
going to
that
talk about continuous integration shortly. Continuous integration is to be done every single day. Okay, every single day in the evening. My proposal is that suppose 6 o'clock your day ends. Okay, suppose 6 o'clock your day ends. What are you going to do is you're going to stop work at around 5:30 in the evening. At 5:30 there will be a continuous integration script which will be run, which will integrate all the code, and it will get copied into a sandbox machine.
Daily builds.
Daily builds will happen and it will essentially go into a sandbox environment. Sandbox is nothing like a production clone environment which will go there, and then either you will run a automated test case suite or somebody will do a quick check on all the things. If you don't have automations, you may want to do automated a manual check, but whatever it is, somebody will check if all the functionalities are working properly or not. Typically it's a good idea to run your test cases through TDDs, your X units or J units, run it. Make sure that everything is going up. If there are any defects coming up, then the defect which is there, say Rahul's code is having a defect, then Rahul will fix the defect quickly, put it back into the integration environment, a sandbox gets created, now everything runs, then everybody goes home. Okay, so continuous integration is a culture. Okay, everybody make sure that their code is running every single day to avoid the kind of errors that we talked about. It has to work before you go home. So you have a sprint review tomorrow. Actually there would have been integrations done every single day. So assuming the Friday is the review, you would have done integrations, final integration on Thursday obviously. But Wednesday, Tuesday, every day there would have been integration happening. So the chances of that error is less if you follow these good development practices, integration techniques, testing practices, automation of test suites. These are all very, very important, and if you practice them, I don't think this kind of errors really happens. But if they do happen, you have to talk during the retrospective and find out why in the first place it happened and improve on it immediately within the next sprint. Alright? Shall we go back to our seats now? Yes.